lot of actors, man, a lot of people in Hollywood, they lose everything. I mean, there's so many people that have lost. How did, they made $100 million in their career.
Yeah.
They're broke. How does this
$100
happen?
million and they've spent $200 million.
Exactly. So why do you think that is? I mean, why do they?
Well, because you get caught up in everything. You get caught up, if you like cars, you get caught up in cars. Then you're done. You buy so many, and then you buy a home that maybe you shouldn't have bought because it's way too much money, but you say, who cares? I have money.
Focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
What's going on, Maurice?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. All right. Well, it looks great, man. And you play the guitar?
No, that's my son.
Okay. All right.
He's incredibly talented.
Awesome. And well, I think wasn't your son, isn't he getting into acting as well?
Yeah. I didn't know he wanted to act forever, and then he was 13 and I was helping some other guys with some acting and I couldn't get the scene. And then Joshua said, "Hey, can I do it?" I said, "Buddy, just relax." He's like, and then we try. And then Buddy said, "Just let me try." I said, "All right, go ahead." And he did it well. He had a good choice. And it kind of I went, interesting. So the guys left. And then Joshua called me over and he said, "Dad, I want to be an actor." I said, "No, you don't." He said, "Yeah, Dad, I want to." I said, "Listen, you know what I've been through? I've been in a mental institution. I've been through hell and back trying to do this thing." He goes, "I don't care, Dad. I want to do it." I said, "All right, I'll give you a month and then I'll teach you the method, which is what I learned, and we'll see where you're at." So I gave him a month. I saw him working hard, man. And that's what said to me that he's got a shot, So one day he comes in, he says, "Dad, can I do this monologue?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead." Halfway through the monologue, I said to myself, this is the next James Dean. Because nobody at 13 in 1 month training should be able to do what he's doing right now. And then after that, he continued, but he likes music more, okay. But he's so good as an actor. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now he's up for some big movies. And
do you think it's, okay. So, you've been in, I think General Hospital for 30 years or something like that, 32 years. So is it, do we just love the pain because you say that you've had a lot of pain in that, field and you're actually telling your son not to do it?
Yeah.
Is there something in our DNA that we love the pain?
Yeah. That's a good question. Two things. I don't think he has pain.
Okay.
He doesn't have to go through what I went through. Now, he doesn't like not working and all that rejection stuff, but he doesn't have the kind of pain that I had. So he has no problem in that area, thank God. Now, for me, do I love the pain? No, I hate it. But I believe that for a couple things, that's the way I'm making a living, and I got no other way. So I got no choice whether I love the pain, hate the pain. And
do it anyways, man. You do what you got to do.
Yeah. And I've learned that all that stuff has been great for my acting. It just not have been great. It has not been that great for my life.
And so, there's a lot of actors out there right now that would switch places with you in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. So when you say stuff like that, right? If when you talk like that, there's going to be people out there that are going to go, "All right, come on, Maurice, give me a freaking break, man. You've been on a major
right.
show. You're extremely famous.
Right.
And what's this kind of bullshit that you're saying that it's so rough, it's so hard." So explain that to us so people really get an understanding what you're talking about, because I don't think people get it.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are some people that, if you know me in any way, you know that's not the case. But I guess if you didn't know me, you would say, "Well, he's very popular and he's got a great home and he's got this." I'm talking about the actual mental illness, man, where if anybody doesn't have mental illness, they should kiss the ground, because it can be so difficult. I was in a mental institution at 21 years old. Okay. I escaped after I think over 2 weeks. And then being bipolar, it's been great for the last 32 years because I've been staying on my medication. But anxiety and depression, mainly anxiety, has just, it's like I call anxiety Freddy Krueger. And Freddy Krueger wants to kill me, man. He literally wants to kill me. And I'm still standing. But when you go through that, that's what I'm talking about. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's not worth it, but it's just hell to go through.
And so dive a little bit deeper into that, because I'm super interested, because when somebody talks about Freddy Krueger or anxiety or depression and things like that, I mean, there's a lot of us that we don't understand it, man. Like we just, because I mean, I don't know. I kiss the ground, and I'm not saying I've never been depressed or never felt bad before or whatever, but I know you're talking about a whole nother level, what this, mental challenges, what this is causing. So if you would be willing to, I want to understand it, man, because I've had friends that have, that they've said that they're going through things like this. But I think a lot of us, we don't understand really what people are going through.
Look, I think a lot of people don't well, more people are understanding now after the pandemic, okay? Because I think what the pandemic did is people who didn't understand it and would look at people like me and go, come on, it's only anxiety. They felt it for the first time and they're like, this is what this feels like. All I can say is, like, if you want to get to a point where you don't want to be on this earth anymore, that means you're in tremendous pain. Now, pain that most people don't go through or understand. And, if somebody says, like you said, I'm depressed, and a lot of people get depressed and have a little bit of anxiety. But if you take how you felt when you're depressed and you add 3-4 times more, that's the way people with mental illness feel. And I'm getting better at it, with therapy and stuff now, but it's difficult. But you have to kind of be as one with the anxiety. You can't let it be a monster. That's why I shouldn't say it's Freddy Krueger. That's one therapist told me, don't say it's Freddy Krueger. But you have to say to Freddy Krueger, okay, let's be together on this. I'm cool. I'm not running from you. But it's not easy. But I'm starting to get to do that more now, which is great.
And so what, if you were, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. I want to get into your story a little bit, but what are the ways that you deal with it? Is it mainly through therapy? Is that kind of the direction that you've gone that has helped you? Medication and a little bit of medication?
Yeah, a little bit of medication. Yeah. Meditation, working out, eating right, staying in good shape, trying to stay in the moment, be present. Don't let your thoughts become that movie, Freddy Krueger. That's gonna, you gotta just be present. And if Freddy Krueger does come, just stay in it. Yeah, I mean, it's a battle that we have to fight, but it can be, you don't have to fail in it. You can win in it. Anna's calling now. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna talk about Anna too today. So
yeah, so I at least I'm a proven fact that you can be successful, and I'm gonna continue to be successful.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
You were a model before you were an actor. So how did that jump happen? What was it? I mean, what was your what was your break, man? What was your big break? Where did it happen? Who created it? Who did you know? Was it lucky? Was it just, you were just grinding? Explain to us how you got to where you're at, or where you got to.
Luck is when preparation and opportunity meet,
Of course.
I didn't have nobody was in acting, modeling, or anything in my whole family or anybody I knew. I just kind of did it because I didn't want to continue working at a supermarket, even though that's a great job. I thought that I could aspire to more. And I got into modeling because this girl that I started going out with said, you know, you should be a model. And I'm like, no, I'm not into that. I'm not that. I'm a tough dude, man. I don't. No. You can make a lot of money. I said, how much? She said, $200 an hour. I said, okay, let me give it a try. So I gave it a try, and I was too short. So I was not successful in that arena. But that got me to acting. And I remember going to my first acting coach, and he said, here, take this. You'd never done it. No. So he goes, just take it. Al Pacino did it on Broadway. I said, all right, American Buffalo. And I started, you know, hey, Bobby, come on, bring it over here. You know, acting the hell out of this thing. And he looked at me when I finished, and he said, you've never done any acting? He goes, just looked at me. So I go back to my agency, and they said, you know what your acting coach said, Michael Alton? I said, what? He said, you're going to be the next Al Pacino, which was, you know, now at that time it was big deal to hear, but it wasn't a good time to hear it because there's my dogs. I got too full of myself hearing that, you know, and then something else happened with my agent where he humiliated me, and then from there I was in a mental institution.
So you just went over so what happened? What was the issue? What did he do to you?
I showed him and my friend this tape I had of me doing a little acting and being on a little show. And when the tape ended, there was just silence, and I knew I'm in trouble. So they brought me into the living room, and the agent proceeded to tell me that why do I think I'm going to make it? And that's the worst question you could ask anybody.
Right.
And I said, I just feel it in my gut, my heart. And he says, well, you're too short, you're Mexican, and you don't even know if you have talent. So I laughed, and then my friend didn't back me up, so it was all weird there. And after that, I was done, cooked.
Unbelievable. So Nico Kelly, you remember that name?
Yeah.
General Hospital, right?
Yeah. No, All My Children.
Oh, All My Children. That's right. My bad. And how did that? When did that happen? And how did that?
That was about. I was about 24 years old.
Okay.
And
how many projects did you do before that?
Not just a couple plays.
Okay.
But I was studying acting all the time.
Right.
Because I'm very much disciplined, and you can't stop me from moving forward so I was studying. So they came out to San Francisco, and I auditioned on tape. They brought the tape back to New York, and then they said they want to fly me out. Okay, so I fly out. And then I auditioned for one role. I was nervous as hell. And then I auditioned. They said, can you come in and audition for another role? I said, yeah. So I auditioned for that role. So the next morning they called, and they said, you didn't get the role, but we created a role for you. His name's Nico. I said, all right, thank God, because I didn't want to go home empty-handed, you know. And that was it. That was kind of the beginning.
And how long did you play that for?
I did that for 2 years. They wanted me to stay another contract. I said no. They were all pissed off.
So, but why did you say no?
Because I wanted to be a movie star.
Okay.
I wanted to go to LA, and that's just the way. It was no kind of arrogance. It was just the fact.
Right.
I wanted to go out and do movies, and the producer was not happy. But I stayed an extra 3 months, and so they paid me a little more, and that was it.
And then where'd you go from then?
Then I went to LA, and first year was pretty damn good, man. I got like 4 jobs. One was playing Desi Arnaz in a TV movie.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I beat out everybody. You know, all the Hispanic actors from all over the place, and
sweet.
Did that, and I thought, okay, I'm Al Pacino now. It didn't work out that way, and the ratings were really good. But you know, what's funny is Johnny Carson came on the Friday before the movie that came on Sunday and told everyone not to see it.
Why?
He didn't. He was friends with the family, and they were all.
It probably was a bad light for Desi, or
Yeah,
yeah,
it was, I guess, somewhat of a bad light. But the way I played it, even though I didn't think I was any good, I played him likable. I really did. If anything, because I'm not happy with the performance, I played him likable. That's why the audience seemed to like it.
And why didn't you like the performance?
It was not deep. It was just a good job at impersonating. Like, I could get him talking, come on, Lucy, what's the matter, honey? I could do all that, but it wasn't. I think what it was is, she was great. Frances Fisher was fantastic. I think what they wanted was Ricky Ricardo, not Desi Arnaz.
Right.
And that's not Desi. That's a character on a TV show.
30 years, man. 30 years, General Hospital, man.
Yeah.
And did you ever think that you'd be doing the same character for 30 years, Sonny?
I signed the contract thinking, well, they first told me it was 6 months.
Right.
And then we decided on a year, which I thought was fine. But I really wanted to get out and show how great I was. And then shit happened, man. I had my third nervous breakdown at GH. And then I started loving it. They proved to me how loyal they were to have me come back to work after that. They could have fired me. I mean, 2 weeks in, it wasn't like I was popular, So that was cool. That made me feel like, this place might be different. You have to understand, I already done a soap and I was done with it.
Right. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, I mean, it seems strange that, you stayed for 30 years and the other one, you probably could have stayed for 30 years over there.
Yeah. And it's funny because if I had stayed over there for 30 years, I wouldn't have been the actor I am.
Right.
Because it's the period between all my children and General Hospital that I learned how to act and really learned how to act. I'm not just saying like, I was studying and I was sucking and then I was good and then I was better. And so it wouldn't have been a good thing to be on All My Children, but GH turned out to be phenomenal.
And how do you keep a character like that fresh for all those years? I mean, because obviously you have, I'm sure, a lot of input in the character because they've actually used a lot of life in that character. But how do you keep it fresh, man, all those years?
Well, hopefully you get good story, right? Because bad story, it's hard to keep it. Not that you can't keep it fresh, but it just gets boring. For me, keeping it fresh is just being in the moment. That to me, as long as you stay in that moment when you're acting, and it's a true moment, it's always going to be fresh because I don't even know what's coming out or what's happening.
Because this is one of the most beloved characters in soap history, man. I mean, this is a long, long time. So
yeah, that's what's kept me in is like I say to anybody, I don't care if you got a couple lines or a lot of lines, you're just looking for that truth, and that will keep you in it and feel like you're not doing the same thing over and over again.
Do you think that's why people have loved him so much, though, the character?
I think the reason the character has been popular is because I bring a lot of pain, and I think that resonates with people. The pain. It's not that I'm the greatest actor, or this or that. It's just that I'm always going deep, and which has not been good for my life.
Okay, all right. I got a question for you. This is just because I think about this sometimes when, especially you watch a great movie, and the movie affects you. I mean, there's no question a movie affects a person. Like for example, if you're a singer, I mean, imagine singing the same song every single day, every single week, and the song has kind of a darkness to it or something. I mean, because I believe in the law of attraction, right? So you're literally sharing that information out with the universe and it's coming back to you, which everything does. So there's no question that when you're playing a dark character, I mean, I don't care how strong you are, how you can, how much you can cut it from reality and not reality. Some of that's coming with you. I don't know. Tell me, what do you think about that? I mean, is there any truth to that?
No, there's a lot of truth to it. And that's the problem. I just had this conversation with somebody else, two people. And I said to them, bad actors don't really suffer.
No, I totally get what
you get my drift.
Yeah,
they don't go. They're not going to places that I go to where it's dark. And if I'm playing, like I played, my dad died on the show of Alzheimer's. Not only do I play it real, my real dad was dying of Alzheimer's. So there's no acting.
Right.
And your body doesn't, you hear it all the time. Your body doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So I've had to figure that. I'm still figuring this one out, but because I just went through something 9 months ago, very difficult 9 months ago, like one of my worst traumas. And I had to go back to work. And guess what when I went back to work, guess what my first scene was? Standing on a ledge, wanting to kill myself.
Wow. Oh my God.
And it's like,
yeah,
I could barely, like, I was so nervous. I could barely stand. That's how messed up I was when I came back. And then I'm on a ledge.
Right.
Playing this. But you have to figure out, or I have to figure out, that this has to help me somehow.
Right.
My mom says, Hijo, can't you leave it? Like, can't you just do half?
Yeah. Why do you got to be so passionate about it?
Yeah. I said, Mom, I can't. I did try it. I said, Mom, I can't do half.
Right.
It doesn't work for me.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, look, finish the scene, go downstairs, put some music on, stay out of my thoughts. When I first started GH, that's probably why I had my third breakdown. I did the opposite. I had an Al Pacino poster. I had The Godfather playing.
Right.
And I was, I'd go upstairs as this guy. I'd come back down. I'd stay in this guy. It was ridiculous, man.
Well, and then I bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably might have been hanging out with some, that was a lot of years ago. You might have been hanging out with some of the wrong people. I mean, there's people that influence you. There's people that are in your life. There's people that are negative, or they're, I don't know. I mean, did you have any of that at all?
No, that was never that guy. Only because I had a family and a wife.
Got it.
That kept me. Okay. Oh, if I were single, forget it.
Yeah, and that's probably most of Hollywood right now.
Yeah,
a good chunk of them.
Yes.
So they're staying in the character, and then they're going partying out at the clubs, and then they wonder how they wrecked their life in 10 years.
Yeah, I had a buddy who just died about a year and a half, of alcoholism, and he's bipolar, and he was a big star on General Hospital. That shit will kill you. I'll tell you why it kills you. Because if you're going through stuff, and I talked to him about this, when you're going through stuff and you drink, it takes it away for about 6-7 hours.
Right.
You're not thinking about it. You're drinking. Right. Problem is, then you become an alcoholic, right?
Right. And I mean, is there anything, when you think about your, your marriage, because you've been married for a long time?
Yeah.
I think, 30 years or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And with Paula, and
35 years. Yeah.
35 years, man. How do you, if you were to, give us a couple of, say 3 big ideas of how you, tell us a little bit about how you met first, but then give us a couple of ideas of how you've managed to, hold on to a marriage that long, especially in Hollywood. Like, that's unheard of to do it in Hollywood, right? So
very, very,
very hard. So
I met her when she was 16. But I didn't start going out there until she was 17. She's from a bad, pretty tough family, drug addicts and whatnot. And we just started living together. And early on it was tough acting. She was jealous when she was young, because I'm with a lot of girls. And on TV and whatnot. But I was not the greatest boyfriend, especially at that time. And then, one thing led to another. We get married, we have kids and everything. And I think the most important thing, well, for me, it's always been, if I'm going to be with another girl, I think of myself as an idiot because I have so much to lose. Like my wife, my kids, my grandkids. Not that you're going to lose them completely, but it becomes a problem. And plus my mental health. She's been there from the beginning. So, another thing on a different level, I think it's a lot of it is communication, and a lot of it is how much you love each other. People who, I think, maybe I'm wrong, who really love each other are not going to cheat. There's got to be something wrong if you're cheating. And trust me, I see a lot of it. A lot. More than I want to, because I don't like that. But
so do you think that, what would you say? Because you know some of these people. So what would you say? Why is it that they're cheating? What's going on in this relationship that it comes down to that?
There's something that has to be going on, whether it be, there's a lot of different factors. The wife or the man is not treating the other one well to the point where the other one says, okay, that's it. Boom. Now, I believe if you're going to do that, just get divorced or get help.
Right.
Get some therapy so that doesn't happen. Because I think once that happens, at least for me, I don't know if I could be with that person. Right.
And so, and you have some other kids too, right? So you have your, is it Kaylee? Kaylee, your daughter, right?
Kaylee.
And then you have Joshua, right?
Yeah.
And then who else? Cassidy, okay.
And Heather.
Okay. And Heather was adopted. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that story. How'd that all come about?
Well, Heather, it's a long story. She's Paula's mother's daughter. Paula's mother died, so Heather became Paula's sister, but then we adopted her, so she became Paula.
Did they do a story on General Hospital on that one? Because that sounds like a great,
It's fantastic. I'll never forget the time when Heather said to Paula, hey, is it all right if I call you mom? I just broke down like a child, man.
When you think about the some of the most proudest moments, you've had a great career. You've touched a lot of people, man. You made a lot of people cry. You made a lot of people laugh, I'm sure. You've created a lot of emotions in a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, what a great career. And of course, building a family, having some kids and staying married for so long. You're a great example. That's why sometimes we, people from the outside, they look at people like you and they go, man, that guy's got it all. And then at the same time, you got, some challenges of your own, and you just keep fighting, just keep going, just keep pushing.
Yeah.
And that's why I admire you, is because you really have, pushed through a lot of stuff. And, but when you think about some of the, maybe you could talk about your family life, your career or whatever, but, tell me about some of the proudest moments that you've had in your life. What are you really grateful for? What are you really proud of after all said and done, having such an amazing life that you've been able to live?
Well, I think it's obvious that your kids are, the most that I'm proud of in my life, right? I'm proud that my wife and I have been able to endure life for so long. There's, first time I won an Emmy was just my dad was still alive, and he came with my mom, and we had the greatest freaking time in New York. And I think everything that has, I don't want to not say General Hospital because it is, but I guess that has to do with the Emmy. But I think it's all the mental health things that have been, because when you're helping people, you're successful on a different level. Acting's one thing, but helping people is another. And I've been able to write a book that came out during the worst time of my life. Never got to really enjoy the situation, but New York Times bestseller, which if you had asked me when I was in high school, I'm going to be a
New York Times best-selling author.
Yeah, never, ever. And then I think I have to say, as far as career, the thing I'm most proud of is creating State of Mind, because it was just on a whim. Yeah. Why don't you try doing this? Who cares about, who's going to care about my mental health? Just do it. Put it out on Instagram story and on a Sunday and see what happens. All right. And it's become this, every week. I think I've only missed in 4.5 years or so. I don't know how many years I've been doing it. Like 450 interviews. I've only missed on a Sunday, maybe 5.
Wow.
Maybe it's less than that. I don't know. Because I was going out during the pandemic, even when I was dying. I'd be like, but people don't care. It was cool. You know what I mean? I think during the pandemic that year, I missed 1. But
so tell me what are you talking about on Sunday? You do like a live on Sunday, or you jump on live on Instagram or something like that on Sunday?
No, it started on Instagram. Then I went to YouTube.
Okay.
And so when I went to YouTube, I started interviewing people, because on Instagram, you can't, it's just, you got to talk to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it was like talking to an audience. It was kind of interesting. But once I went to YouTube, I started interviewing, and it's a show called State of Mind where I just talk about life. Some people think it may be mental health. It is. Of course, there's mental health. And a lot of the mental health comes from me just yapping. But man, I've had the greatest, like this. I'm interviewing soon somebody who was in a cult. He's never talked about it.
Wow.
And it's going to be wild. I mean, I interviewed a police officer. We were talking back and forth. And I said, so it's pretty safe to say that our wives, we wouldn't be here without our wives. And he goes, no, that's not it. I said, what do you mean? He says, one night I was in my darkest time. I took my gun, I put it to my forehead, and it jammed. He pulled the trigger and it jammed. I didn't know what to. After that, I was like, damn. I said, wow.
Unbelievable.
So yeah,
Hey, so you're just interviewing just random people, huh? I mean, police officers, cold people. How do you find these people, man?
Look, of course, it's a lot of soap opera people.
Okay.
So out of 400, let's say 50, I'd say 300 or more soap opera people. But I've interviewed Stephen A. Smith, Frank Grillo, Cheryl Underwood, from all different walks of life. But to me, as probably as you know, it's the story.
Yeah, of course.
So you just go with the story. I told my wife, I said, honey, I don't think there's only one person that I wish that when I was in there, I'm like, I'm in freaking trouble. Because this is interview in person.
Okay, so you're live on these interviews.
Yeah, it's not Zoom.
Wow.
I can't. I won't.
Hardcore.
Yeah, I just like it that way. I want the energy. I want the people in front. I even said no to Ice-T on Zoom. Now I regret it, but I didn't get to it. So yeah, people need it because the bottom line is they don't want to feel like they're alone.
Right.
And so if you and I right now, somebody's watching, they feel like if I'm talking about this stuff, it's all right for them to talk about it. And that's what's cool, right?
So what would be the solution? I mean, if you were to, some, young person came to you and said, hey man, I'm just struggling. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety and depression and pain. And sometimes I don't want to be here. What's the solution? What would you tell them? How would you, now you're not a therapist, but from a friend standpoint, or just from your just own expertise and own experience, what do you tell them, man? How do they get past that feeling, and how do they keep moving forward and endure?
I keep saying this thing and I'll say it all the time just because I think we always want to stay in first, second gear. Okay. You can go to third, but don't go to fourth. Of course, fifth, sixth, seventh. You know, I've been in sixth, seventh. When you get to fifth, sixth, seventh, you can't rein it in. You need professional help, therapy, psychiatry, whatever it takes to get you medication. Like I've been in those gears before. And if it wasn't for the medication that I took, I may not be here, honestly, point blank. Now, if you're in first and second gear, you just, like I said before, you got to just meditate, try to get yourself centered. Maybe you got a little bit of anxiety. I had that a couple of weeks ago. I stayed centered. I went to work out for 40 minutes because it took me out of the thought, that bad thought. That's one thing you can do. And you can do the meditation. Let's talk about a little bit about social media because people bag on it. I get it. A lot of bad in social media, YouTube, whatever. But there's also a lot of great.
Right.
When I was sick at 21 years old, depression, major depression, 8 months depression. If I would have had YouTube, I have manic depression. Look it up. And there's people talking about it.
Right.
It'd have been much better for me. But I was with nothing, just alone in my bed going through this stuff. And it's not, people should understand that there's that side of social media that's really great.
What do you think about like the Anthony Robbins of the world, those kind of guys?
I think there's a lot of truth in what they say. I think it's a little more preachy than I'm kind of maybe you or rah-rah, let's say, or whatever that is. But I think they know their stuff. They know their stuff. And look, the bottom line is this. I mean, yes, there are cults, but if you're that successful, you can't fool that many people. Right. I mean, I have I would say a very loyal following. It ain't humongous, but it sure is strong and loyal. And they wouldn't be that if I was not authentic, I think.
Right.
Now, there are people that fool people, but...
well, I think, when you look at, because basically Anthony Robbins is teaching NLP. And so when you look at, what he's doing and how he's, getting people to overcome their, I guess I know a little bit about it. I mean, when I was 21, I went to a couple of his seminars. And
I did?
Yeah. I mean, it radically changed my life. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I mean, I was 21. I started building my financial services company. By the time I was 28, I was completely financially independent, was, living an amazing life. And I owe a lot of it to the teaching because, I had a little bit of a tough upbringing and, parents divorced and not knowing a lot of things, saw a lot of shit I probably shouldn't have saw as a little kid. And, and so I had a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, self-esteem issues, a lot of problems, a lot of fighting growing up and, just a lot of shit that I went through growing up. And I turned 21. I went to a seminar and it radically changed my life because I started figuring out how my brain worked. Once I got educated about how my brain worked, I started to know how to use my brain for my benefit versus allow my brain to take control of me. And then, I always thought about my brain kind of like a record player, it just kept spinning around because, and we still have it. I mean, we still all do it, right? I mean, it's like a fucking record, just won't stop, it's like, just shut up already, and then, so I kind of learned how to take that record out of my brain and scratch it up, really, interrupt the patterns, because our brain is just made up so many little patterns that are created and it just fucks, just messes us up, and I just, so yeah, I mean, I owe a lot to a guy like him, and you're right. I mean, you could probably, there's a lot of people could fool people, but this guy's, he's on to something. And, but I was just curious because I think that, the mind, once we understand it, then we try to control it,
Yeah.
but I know it's not easy. It's not a simple trick, or, it's not a simple thing, but I think it's powerful stuff, man, when you figure it out,
Yeah. My big problem is being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, and I have a reason why I'm so uncomfortable. I can't get into that, but it's like, I was talking to a therapist once, and I was outside, and and it was cold, and I went, fuck, it's cold. And he goes, you don't like being uncomfortable, do you? Yeah, you're right. Damn. So I know now that when that anxiety hits, there's nothing more uncomfortable than that. But I have to figure out how to make that not uncomfortable and just live in it, right? Or whatever I need to do. But it's basically being uncomfortable that I'm not good at.
Yeah, getting great. And that's anything, right? I mean, we get great at, being comfortable, uncomfortable, right?
Right.
Yeah. But
in a way, I should want more anxiety to get uncomfortable and live. The more I do it, it's like getting on it. Like Dr. Drew told me once, I didn't fly for 10 years. I said, Dr. Drew, what do I have to do? He goes, I have the same problem. I'm claustrophobic. He says, you got to get on and get on and get on. And I'm like, well, easier said than done. You know what helped me get on, though? Completely took it out, man. I got off 2 planes. Hypnosis.
Yeah. Wow.
My buddy's a hypnotist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought this guy, what are you doing? But you're fucking, don't give me that. He goes, just let's do it. Let's do it.
Right.
And I did it. I flew on 15 planes.
Wow.
No anxiety.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
So that does.
He didn't make you jump up and act like a chicken or anything like that, did he? So
it's like nothing that we were in the car, and I fell asleep. He was doing his hypnosis, and then I woke up and I felt like, damn, I feel real relaxed, and it worked. And my wife was skeptical, and then by the 3rd plane, she's like, I guess.
How about entertainment industry, man? Big industry. Should actors and people in the entertainment industry, should they stay away from politics or having big opinions about things? And what do you think about that? I'm curious.
Yeah, you stay away.
Yeah,
because whether it's fair or not, we can't. No one can talk about any other thing than what they want. It's like, and I'm not political, so I don't fall into any category, but still, I'd like to be able to have an opinion on something. You can't. It's not good.
Yeah, because there's a lot of actors out there that they really want to push the agenda. They're whatever way they're leaning, they feel like they're the smartest people in the room,
Yeah. And a lot of that is on both sides,
Right, of course. Yeah.
But I feel by watching this whole situation, no one gets canceled on the what is it, the right?
The right or the left.
On the right, no one's canceling anybody.
Right.
But over here, everybody got 10% low battery. Over here, people are getting canceled. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's just.
I hear you, man. Hey, I do want to ask you real quick, because I know we have a short amount of time left, but I mean, money, Hollywood money is crazy, right? You could make a lot of money in Hollywood, and live a great life and but man, there's so many that blow it, So what's the best thing you've done with your money, and what's the worst thing you've done with your money?
You know what? The worst thing, I've been sued a lot with having money and lost. That wasn't good. But the best thing that I've done with my money is probably buying my home. That I bought it for inexpensive, and it's worth a lot more. But also just save it, but somehow save your money, because they'll take you down, man.
Yeah. A lot of actors, man, a lot of people in Hollywood, they lose everything. I mean, there's so many people that have lost everything.
A lot.
And it's like, how did they made $100 million in their career. Yeah. They're broke. How does this
$100 million and they've spent $200 million?
Exactly. So why do you think that is? I mean, why do they?
Well, because you get caught up in everything. You get caught up, if you like cars, you get caught up in cars. then you're done. You know, you buy so many, and then you buy a home that maybe you shouldn't have bought because it's way too much money, but you say, who cares? I have money. That's what happens, you know. And investments, maybe it's bad investments. It's tough. So that way, I think you just got to make sure that, you know, you're smart.
What's next, man, for Maurice Benard? What's next, man?
I just keep working at GH, and I do four State of Minds tomorrow in a row. Yeah, but it's, you know, we have to put them in the can because I'm going on vacation. And I think my son's going to have some cool news coming up. You'll check that out.
I love it, man. Well, I appreciate you hanging with me today. This has been so much fun. And, you know, hey, if your son he's doing some big things, he wants to come on and promote it, man, just let me know, and we'll have him on, and anything I can do to help you ever, just, you know, please reach out. But I do want you to kind of close it out with us and just tell everybody how to get a hold of you, and, you know, how they can connect with you. And, because I'm sure you're going to get some DMs and, you know, just thanking you. Cause I know most of my audience are going to DM you and they're going to say, thanks for coming on Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo, man. We're so excited. And, you know, so they're going to love you for this, man.
All right. Yeah. Well, anyway, you can just get me at mauricebenard.com, anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is Maurice Benard 60. Facebook is the same as Maurice Benard thing, and then Twitter, of course, and then the other one.
You're all over the place, man.
Yeah, I'm big on social media.
I love it.
Don't forget to go to State of Mind, or Maurice Benard State of Mind YouTube. Watch. I got something on O.J. Simpson right now that's really cool. 10-minute rant.
Wow. Okay.
It's really cool. Really cool. Yeah.
Okay. We'll put that in the description, man. So we'll make sure we'll promote that. Have everybody jump on that YouTube and follow you, man. So good stuff hanging with you. And just for everybody watching, please reach out to Maurice, at least thank him for coming on, and go follow him on all of his platforms. And, really great guy to come out and hang with us today, and really appreciate your time. And tell Anna I said hello.
I will.
Thanks for connecting us. And for everybody out there, man, continue to dream bigger than ever. Get after it. But most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We'll see you at the top.
Thank you, buddy.